Hey guys, I'm going to be showing a pretty basic and simple way to do Kyros level 99 with no modifiers. If you happen to have Louise, you can also sub out Louise for like Yigni or Sky, etc., and use the same general concept. But we're going to use Louise as our primary carry for this, like, not really a budget run. It's like a basic run, I should say. This is the team we're going to use. It does use a few specific things, but I'm trying to not rely on anything limited. So we're going to use a tank. Any physical tank is fine as long as they're geared well. We're going to start Gabranth in the shift form with auto buffing his own TMR. Then we're going to go to the base form, and you want to gear them in decent HP and defense. This clear is not relying on things like Mirage or D-accuracy. So we're just going for pure generic bulk. So as much HP and defense as you can get. And it is important that you're wearing Future Emperor for this clear. This is a permanent item. It's from Ray of Hope Larsa. It makes him counter with AoE mana regen, which is, as you can imagine, pretty important. So there is Gabranth's build. You can sub him out with Bahimi, Snow, Aphmaw, Gladio, Seacard. All of these tanks work. I'm using Gabranth because he is the original Neovisions tank. He's the oldest. I assume most people have Gabranth at this point, from off banners, etc. So just gear him as bulky as you can. Elena, base form, we're not using it. Shift form, all that matters is she's using her TMR or STMR, and a little bit of Esperfield gear. This is like going to be the most like controversial part of the clear. Probably is the Esper gear. Espers are pretty important for this strategy because we're going with a bulk strategy. We need to summon Golem every single turn. So hopefully you've got enough sources of Esper gear, like Behemoth Synergy, Bonds with the Aeons, or Summer Parasol. That's all Elena needs. Folka is going to be for mana regen and healing. So we're not using Philosopher's Stone, we're not using Upgrade Package. Those are both limited items. We're also not using the Paintbrush, again, limited item. So we're going with all permanently available gear to fix the mana problem. So Folka needs 1 copy of Galbana Lilies and Call of the Wild equipped. She also needs to have 10 or better auto limit. That's all she needs. Other than that, gear her for as much spirit as you can get, and there you go. That's what she's going to be doing. Cacteria is going to be a breaker. She can be subbed out with any breaker you want, as long as they can chain quad cast Chaos Wave Awakened with our DPS. So we gave her the Irenes Ring and the Flame Whip replica for Firega, not Fireja with the big whip. We want the replica whip. If you don't have this, just give her Firega from some other source. You can teach it to Ifrit or Phoenix if you don't have the whip. And she's going to need a source of guts. That is going to be important as well. We're not using the shift forms. That's not important. A little bit of Esper fill. And give her some LB fill as well, so she can get her LB pretty often. I'm going to come back to Louise in a second. Jessie is going to be our provoker. Also going to be our unit to summon Golem every single turn. That's pretty much it. She's really just going to summon Golem every turn and summon an Esper every turn. A little bit of Esper fill gear and some auto limit. The auto limit is just in case you're not using Louise. Jessie has an 87% defense and spirit break with a 120 all in peril, which is really good if you're using someone else as your damage dealer, like Yigni or something. But Louise is going to do her own breaks, but that's just, a good swap. And then Louise, base form Louise, her TMR or STMR. We actually want to give her the chain cap helm, not the chain cap, the Celestite helm as well, because it fills morale gauge. A little bit of auto buffing, auto faith, etc. Shift form, all in for damage. Double gun, the Clash of Wills helm. Heliotite is very useful if you own it. It gives mana reduction, killers, etc. She's maxed on all killers. So there's the build. Let's go ahead and do the clear now. So we're going to be doing a slow clear. We're not really going for like a quick clear. This is going to be a turn 9 kill. So slow and steady wins the race. Alright, so here is the ambush where it takes all the mana away. Galbana Lilies will give Folka back 20. Alright, we're going to shift Gabranth to the base form. Do that first. Go to the base form, then use Folka to cast Magic Healing on Gabranth. Because of Call of the Wild, she can do that. Alright, now we're going to use Jessie to summon Golem. We're going to punch the boss with Louise and Cacteria. And Louise. And Elena. Okay, you'll notice the boss is already broken because of Jessie's preemptive breaks. We're going to go to the... Oh, we already went to the base form. Okay, so Gabranth is now going to Grounded Fortitude, Judge's Defense, and Circle of Judgment. Now, if you wanted to do... If you're using Gabranth specifically, you could actually do Circle, Cover, and you could use... what's it called? Hatred for a... Oh, actually, it's 60. Actually, it's the same thing. So Jessie's preemptive breaks are also 65. There's no point. Yeah, so we're going to Circle, Judges, and Grounded Fortitude. Okay, so turn 1 is going to be by far the most dangerous turn because we're only using 65% breaks on turn 1 from Jessie. We're going to get Cacteria's break starting on turn 2. But Gabranth is pretty bulky. We've got Golem up. We've got Gabranth's 75% mitigation. So we're fine. You know, some damage, but it's whatever. Okay, now we're going to use Folka. So Folka, because we have Albana Lilies for 20 mana, and Gabranth is countering for 50 mana with Emperor's whatever it's called, we can use Teardrop every turn, and Water Screen costs 52 MP. That's going to heal and fill MP for the party. Gabranth is going to every turn for the rest of the fight, Circle of Judgment and Judge's Defense. Jessie always Golems every turn. And Elena is going to start filling morale for us. Alright, Louise on this turn is going to Firestarter, Heavy Firepower, Diverse Arsenal, and Power Boost. And Cacteria is going to triple. We're going to use the big attack break. We're going to do a big spirit break. And that's all we have to really have the mana for. I guess with a Thorn Punch. Whatever. That's all we need. And that's gonna carry us for until her LB is ready soon. Okay, so Jessie is the Provoker, getting the mana drain. We don't really care because all she's doing is summoning Golem every turn. Okay, so we can just hit reload for the most part, and we're gonna just come on, auto-casting, sad face. Come on, auto-casting. Alright, so we're just gonna reload Jessie and the whole front row. Louise is going to shift, and we're gonna start dealing some damage. So Louise is gonna quad, triple disarming, and a neutralizing, and Cacteria will quad Firega to support chain. And go ahead and chain this up. So when you chain, make sure you click Cacteria first. You send them at the same time, but make sure the first one clicked is Cacteria. That way the counterattack goes to Cacteria. Oh, actually, they're going to both get countered always because one is using magic and one's using physical. Oh well. But actually in that case, ignore that tip. It doesn't really matter who you click first because, yeah, big sad face. It doesn't really matter. Because Louise auto-cast her buffs at the start of the turn anyway. Okay, so reload these guys. Elena is now going to Azure Might and Legendary Heroine every turn. Louise does this. And we just support chain again. Keep chaining. So depending on your gear, you may or may not be dealing more damage than I am. Make sure you don't cross the 50% threshold until it's time. So if you're doing too much damage, just slow it down and just start not DPSing if you're going too quickly. Yeah, we want to stop and only cross 50% when I tell you to, which is going to be coming on turn 8. Okay, so the boss's buffs are wearing off, so we're going to go ahead and use Cacteria's base form LB. We're going to go to the base form of Louise, and we're going to reapply buffs. Don't use the field on this turn, though. Save the field. So we're just going to Heavy Firepower, Diverse Arsenal, Power Boost, and it doesn't really matter. Tactical Armor is fine. Just don't use the field on this turn. Alright, reload. Jesse repeats. Volker repeats. Gabranth repeats. Elena, unfortunately, the reload button doesn't work for her, so we're going to just cast Morale and Azure Might. Okay. Perfect. Some attacks. Yeah, as long as you're summoning Golem every single turn, the boss's damage is pretty low. You know, if you're not using any modifiers, obviously. If you're using modifiers, it gets a lot harder. But no modifiers, it's very, very fine. Okay, so we're going to reload, 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 reload. Elena, Azure, and Legendary. Cacteria, Support Chain. And we're going to go back to dealing damage with Louise. So we're going to shift. We're going to triple disarming and neutralizing. Alright, go ahead and chain this up. Okay. And again, if you're dealing more damage than I am, do not cross 50% yet. Okay. Mana drain, not really a problem. We've got Folka. Okay, turn 7, we're going to get ready for the bursting. So at this point, we're not going to hit the boss. We don't want the spells. So, Golem with you, repeat with you. Folka is going to double cast. And we're going to double cast Teardrop for lots of mana. Alright, Louise, go to the base form. Wait for the Teardrop to come in. That's good enough. Alright, Louise is now going to Firestarter, Heavy Firepower, Diverse Arsenal, and Incapacitate target to break the boss. Elena does what she always does. Legendary and Azure. And Cacteria is going to, doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter. We'll just use these to, like, blind the boss. But it's super irrelevant. Although we didn't do any healing on Gabranth, so I guess this will allow him to get a few misses from blinding. Okay. Okay, we didn't get the morale, attack, and magic buff yet. We're gonna get it this turn. That's fine though. All right, let's go ahead and have Folka on this turn. We're gonna double and double Teardrop again to fill MP. Okay, so now it's time to burst. So Louise is going to shift. Okay, now if you weren't using Louise, you could use Jesse's LB here to, what's it called? Put up better breaks. We didn't really need that, so that's fine. We're going to go ahead and put up the Resilient Will for Gabranth, and we're going to put up Resolute Will for Gabranth as well. Elena will just put up the Killer and the... Actually, like, we don't need the Killer, so we're going to use Elena to Legendary and do Blessing just in case your DPS unit was broken. Louise wasn't, but just in case. Alright, we're going to quad Disarming here, and Cacteria is going to quad Farega. This will push that first hit point lock on turn 8. Okay. And you'll notice the boss's defense buff is wearing off next turn, which makes it nice and easy to finish him off later. Alright, Gabranth is going to go ahead and do Circle of Judgment. And we'll do the Magnus, but he's going to die anyway, so don't worry about that. It doesn't really matter. He's going to cover the team. Now, it's possible that Rampage gets through and hits the party. If so, that's why we gave the party Guts. Alright, and there's Rampage. Like I said, sometimes Rampage goes through and hits your party. That's why they need Guts. Normally that won't happen, but sometimes it does, and we had the Guts backup plan. Jesse and Elena have Guts naturally, so does Louise. The only one that really needed it was Cacteria, and Cacteria had a Guts item. So now we're going to click the Morale bar. We're going to Resurging Will to give us mana back because Folka died. We're going to use the other resounding will to buff attack and magic. We got completely dispelled here, so Elena is going to Azure Might, and that's all that really matters. Azure Might and Morale. Alright, Jesse can just whatever, doesn't really matter. And now we're going to finish off the boss with triple disarming and neutralizing, and Cacteria will Fyrega 4 times. Now because Morale is really high, and Louise is really strong, she can carry the rest of the fight, and the boss, as you can see here, does not have the spirit buff anymore, so big damage. Yeah, she's a self-capper. Okay, so we killed in 3 casts out of the 4, so we overkilled by 25% with my Louise. And my Louise is actually I didn't really use any STMRs, I don't think, on Louise. I went for like a kind of a budget build, other than her own STMR, to be fair. But yeah, there was the simple way to clear the boss. Yeah, the problem a lot of people are having is they're going for like a turn 2 clear or something, a turn 3 clear, and it's just not working out for them. So to slow it down a little bit, do a nice build up the morale, use Golem every turn, tank it up, then set up your burst when the defense and spirit buff wears off on turn 8 and 9. Yeah, so you push the threshold on turn 8, and you finish on turn 9 with no defense and spirit buff. Okay, see you next time.